Which of the following best describes property? A bundle of rights. Abel gave to Baker a life estate based on the life of Candy. Upon the death of Candy, title is to be returned to Abel. While Candy is living, Abel holds an estate. In reversion. Leases on agricultural lands may not run for more than 51 years. Which of the following are not classified as real property? Harvested crops. The right to use underground waters, known as percolating waters, is owned by the landowners above for their reasonable use. An estate of inheritance would be the same as a fee estate. Abel conveys title to real property to Baker for the life of Caddy. If Baker were to die, the estate passes to the heirs or devisees of Baker. If you were to lease a beach home from July 1st to July 20th, the leasehold would be classified as an estate for years. If Smith leased a residence for a 6-month term and at the expiration of the lease, retained possession of the property without the consent of the landlord, Smith would hold an estate at sufferance. Which of the following is a less-than-freehold estate? A leasehold estate. A lease in which the amount of rent is based upon the tenant's dollar volume of business is known as a percentage lease. If a tenant is delinquent in his or her rent under a written lease, the landlord can have the person evicted by bringing court action. The right to possess, use, encumber, dispose of and to exclude, most accurately describes Ownership. The word estate is used to express the degree, quantity, nature, duration, or extent of an interest one may have or hold in real property. Which of the following is classified as an estate? Lease. Abel leased a store to Baker for 10 years. Abel, the landlord, died shortly after she entered into the lease. It was then discovered that Abel had held only a life estate. Under these circumstances, the lease would now be void. A deeded the title to a residence to B but reserved a life estate for himself. Upon A's death, title to the property would pass to B. Personal property when attached to a building or land in such a way that it becomes part of the real property, is known as a fixture. Ownership of land includes the right to lateral and subjacent support, real property is all that is not personal property. An estate in real property for a definite and specified period of time, fixed in advance and based upon an agreement for the payment of rent, is known as an estate for years. Community property is property owned by a husband and wife. Severalty ownership of real estate means sole ownership by one person. Escheat is a legal term meaning property has reverted to the state. A married woman can will 50% of the community property. Effective delivery of a deed depends upon the intention of the grantor. The unities that are necessary to create a joint tenancy relationship in the ownership of real property are possession, title, interest, and time. If you hold title to property in joint tenancy with another or others, you may sell your interest in the property, the one unity held with the other co-owner, S, in a tenancy in common relationship is possession. A will in which the signature and the material provisions of the will are in the handwriting of the maker is called a holographic will. The person who acquires real property under the terms of a will is known as a devisee. The deed, which transfers title to real property but contains no express or implied warranties, is a quitclaim deed. In order for a deed to transfer title, it must be delivered. A deed would be void and invalid if the grantee was a deceased person. A gift deed that has been delivered and recorded could be set aside or voided by a creditor of the grantor. Title to real property acquired by adverse possession is usually perfected by a quiet title action. The most distinguishing characteristic of a joint tenancy holding is survivorship. Under California law, title to real property can be transferred in all of the following ways except by sufferance, the gradual and imperceptible accumulation of soil on property bordering a stream or river is known as accretion. The reverting of property to the state after 5 years for lack of heirs is known as Escheat. The signature on a deed is acknowledged by the grantor. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe my channel.